I'm shortening the dance because I realize it sinks much quicker than I thought it did. But welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Align and Shine. I am so delighted, as always, to be joined by my biz bestie, Meryl Hayton. Meryl, if you would go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am a certified EFT professional, and I help mainly women to have happier, healthier relationships through somatic and spiritual approaches. So, somatic EFT tapping through the body, regulating the nervous system, um, and I've created my own emotional clearing method, and I teach that program all over and use that method with my clients and in my membership. So it's all about helping you to wipe out fear, doubt, resistance that we're talking about
Oh,
today.
yes. Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
that might be in your way of feeling happier and being healthier in your relationships with yourself, with others, so that you have more joy in your life. So,
Mm. We could all use more joy in our lives, honestly. I think right now, joy is one of the most important acts of rebellion that we can be doing against a system that doesn't really
yes.
want to see us happy. So, hi, I'm Safrianna Lughna, the Queer Spirit Guide, and I'm a little rebel over here against the system that really tries to make us fit inside boxes and take a one size fits all approach. So, I help visionary leaders and future visionary leaders step into their authenticity and really just own who they are and shine that authentic light. And that is part of why I love doing these sessions with Meryl, because it's all about you aligning with your truth, getting underneath the muck so that you can step forward in that light and truth and shine vibrantly. So we follow the same format every episode. I'm going to start with an energy clearing as we kind of talk about the topic at hand, which today, as Meryl hinted at, is releasing resistance. And we all have resistance about something. So, let's normalize that. But we'll talk a little bit about the topic. I'll do an energy clearing. Then Meryl will lead me as the client in a tapping session that you get to follow along with and put your own words into. And then I will do a collective card pull on this topic and just see what energy we can bring forward. So, resistance, Meryl. Any words that arise when you just think about resistance right now? Because I know I've been noticing it big time in like doing what really lights me up, because there's this resistance. I'm like, oh, but isn't that selfish, right? Like that's what I'm dealing with. So, any anything come up for you?
um, I mean, for me, I know personally, if I get into the fear, doubt spin, of I'm not enough or something, right? Then that pattern creates like resistance. And,
Hmm.
so resistance may be um, something that you're aware of. Oh,
You just bloomed hearts and it was amazing. I don't know how that happened, but I'm here for it.
isn't that funny? I've seen fireworks actually behind, like, I was in session with one of my clients on Zoom, and there were fireworks only on her screen. And the
Well,
two
we
of
said
us
we
were
needed
like,
more joy. So,
what's happening? I know. Isn't that amazing how, like, these, like, interesting things happen? I love that. Okay.
mm,
So sometimes I think people are aware of the resistance and then they get into the fear and the doubt and the sadness and all the things underneath. And sometimes it's not, it's the other way around. And for me, it's the other way around. For me, I'm like, I know I'm in fear. I know I'm in doubt. I know I might, be second guessing myself or something. And then I'm like, oh, all of that is creating resistance. And then we're just self-sabotaging, ourselves in anything, right?
yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, that self-sabotage piece is something I really wanted to just speak to, especially as I start to clear some energy over here. I have a really, really hot piece of cedar wood over here,
Ooh.
ready to clear this energy, because so many of us really live in that not enough space all the time. right?
Yeah.
I know so many people that are there all the time, and they would never necessarily admit that they're there all the time, but it's just such a pervasive story. I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough. And because of that,
Yeah.
they're resisting stepping into a bigger dream because they think they're not enough for that. And that's where so
Yeah.
much of the resistance comes up. But yeah, it can come from all different forms
Yeah.
for
I think,
sure.
I mean, I come across a lot of people who don't even want to admit that they don't feel enough.
Mhm.
Um, and they don't, they're like, oh, I don't know that I really resonate with that. But then when we really do the digging, it's like they feel guilty. They're afraid to stand up for themselves. They, doubt their abilities and things. And at the bottom of the barrel, the root cause of it all, right, is some sort of I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough.
Yeah.
I don't
Mm.
matter, things like that. And because we have these hardwired thoughts and patterns in our system, if you think of the body as a computer, right? That creates us to have the same perspectives, the same thoughts, the same behaviors. We take the same actions and then we expect a different outcome, but that's not what happens. We get the same
Right.
outcome. So then we just get frustrated and the spiral just keeps happening over and over and over. So we have to be able to create, like, we have to be able to remove some of the feelings and do the emotional clearing and remove the resistance so that we can start to unravel those hardwired patterns and create new software so that we
Mm.
feel comfortable to step into new thoughts, new perspectives, new patterns, new behaviors, and all that, because that's what changes our outcome.
I love that. Such you are spitting the wisdom today, Meryl. Just because we get in our way so much, and
Yeah.
that's why I love these methods that we use, because they really do allow us to come into a different awareness with it and be intentional about releasing it so we don't fall into these patterns. So I'm going to invite you to just really take a nice deep collective breath here, kind of collect yourself back home, and then exhale it out. We are just going to gently start to release what we can here, this energy of not enoughness that might be coming in. As we bring up this story, you might recognize this story in yourself. Places that you have felt not enough and therefore have resisted your own brilliance, have resisted your own dreams, your own truth. Again, a nice deep breath, bringing yourself back home, and then an exhale to let anything go that's not you. And just allowing the body to soften a little here if you can, maybe the shoulders melting down away from the ears. Just releasing, releasing, releasing any tension, any resistance that you might have around relaxing into this moment, allowing yourself to receive wisdom, allowing yourself to receive healing, any resistance you might have around that, just letting that go. You are allowed to receive. You are worthy. And we are here to support. So, just one more nice deep breath here and let what you can go. And let's move into some tapping. Gonna make sure I put my smoke cleansing bundle out because the last live I did, it was over here smoking with my eyes closed. So
Oh, geez.
that was fun. That was fun to realize at the end. So some EFT tapping. And, I've already mentioned it, and I'm sure Meryl will say it again, but I just like to really anchor this home that as we are saying words, you are allowed to tap on different words and substitute for what is alive for you in the moment. But we will be using me as sort of the example here, and hopefully, I also consider Meryl, you and I talk about surrogate tapping a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to just say a little bit about what surrogate tapping is? Because there's
Yeah,
something I want to share there.
sure. So when I work with my clients, um, we're usually helping them heal from, you know, sadness, hurt, pain, anger with relationships. And sometimes these issues are with their, ex-husband or something, and it can also affect their relationships with their kids. So what I do with my clients is we clear out as much as we possibly can and get them to a really great place, feeling more confident, trusting themselves. So that could take a few sessions, it could take a few months, right? Everybody's different. It could take a year, you know? Um, and I'm never the type of guide that says, that tells you what you should specifically say to someone else. If you're like, if a client says to me, yeah, but I want my husband to blah blah blah, or I want my child to, da 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 da, and I prefer to like allow the universe to help guide us to say the right things and do the right things and kind of let things happen more naturally than try to
Mhm.
control situations. Not that there isn't a little bit of advice that I might give, someone's like, well, maybe you want to say it this way, right? Like I always say, you want to say, I feel this way, right? I need this instead of pointing fingers at people. I mean, that's really important. But so we're not usually, ever, not usually, but we're not ever bringing in the other people in their lives into our sessions.
Mhm.
And, a lot of times my clients say, well, how can I get my so and so to change or to do it? And I say, well, let's get you to a really good place. And then we can do some surrogate tapping, meaning, like, for example, with you, Safriana, if you had an issue with someone else in your life, we would clear out whatever's bothering you, through you first. And then we could go into what you think the other person is feeling. And we would
Mhm.
just physically use you as the channel, as the surrogate for the other person. So it would be exactly how we do it for ourselves or how I would guide a client, but that my client or you would be tapping for someone else. And it absolutely has worked and changed people. And they don't know that we're doing it,
Right.
you know? So it's not like we're telling them and they're changing because we're telling them, like the placebo effect or something. It's not, that's not it at all. So, but I have had clients who struggle with their relationships, like a narcissistic husband. I have one of my clients, and she's not in a clear path yet to be a surrogate. So I've done it for her husband, and it worked,
That's
which
pretty
is
amazing.
really amazing. And so what I did was I did my whole session, and then I communicate with my clients through an app in between. So I voice messaged her and I said, okay, I and didn't, it's just use my intuition, tap on what I think he's experiencing from what she's told me, and I made some notes, and whatever phrases and words and stuff like that came through, I shared with her. And she said, when she got back to me, she's like, so my husband and I went out to dinner tonight, which hasn't happened in months, because he really is trying and wanted to connect, and he said some of the words and phrases that I said in my tapping that he doesn't typically say. So,
That is fun.
and since then, and they're like selling their house and moving, and it's connected to their business. They've had a lot of stuff going on, and she hasn't been complaining. So
Mm, something
yeah,
to it.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Oh, and I'll also say we did try it once early on because I thought she was in a good place, but we were not on the right words and the right stuff for her husband at the time, and so it didn't work. Right? So, but
it's
most
that
of the
alignment.
time, yeah, it has to be the right. It's just like when I'm working with my clients. If they're not on their exact right words, even for you today, if you're not on your exact right words, things are not going to shift.
Right. Yeah.
So,
So I asked about the surrogate tapping because what I've started to see part of my role in being the vessel of receiving in this case is that I'm doing surrogate tapping also for people who might not be comfortable doing this yet,
right, the
who might
collective.
be, yeah, the collective people struggling with these issues. So even if the
Hmm.
words we get into aren't exactly your words, maybe they still clear something for you, or again, you can kind of substitute your own words. And I've envisioned myself tapping for the collective so that we
Right.
just continue to clear and talk about the truth of these things that we need to let go of. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, let's get into it.
So I'm feeling called to just do a general tapping first on resistance and then get into something a little more specific. All
Sounds
right.
good.
Okay. So we're not going to do like traditional, like even though statement here. So can you see me? Like, can you see my hand and stuff? Or am I,
If you tilt your camera down a little bit more or lift your hands up a little more, that might be a better level. There
is
you
that
go.
better? All right. Because I
Yes, much
see
better.
two videos on my phone. And one of them I can see like
Yeah, you can see full you. Yeah, the other
full
one's
me,
shrunken.
but yeah. Okay. Can also like back up a little bit. All right.
Perfect.
Okay. So you're just going to repeat after me, whoever is following along. Um, just say the words and like see what comes out of this after, because you may not know exactly what is causing, like what you're resistant to, right? Until we kind of get a little clearer. So, all right. So today we're talking about resistance,
Today we're talking about resistance,
top of the head. And I may not know what I'm resisting at the moment,
and I may not know what I'm resisting at the moment,
in between the eyebrows, but I'm open to finding out.
but I'm open to finding out.
Outside the eyes, I'm open to clearing out whatever is in my way.
I'm open to clearing out whatever is in my way,
Underneath the eyes, whatever is in my way to my best self.
whatever is in my way to my best self,
Under the nose, whatever is in my way to happier, healthier relationships, more joy in my life.
whatever is in the way to more happy and healthy relationships and joy in my life,
On the chin, or whatever is in my way to growing my business
or whatever is in my way to growing my business
and having more clients and money.
and having more clients and money.
Under the collarbone. So I'm open to letting go of this resistance.
I'm open to letting go of this resistance.
Under the arm, right next to the chest. I'm open to finding out what's underneath this resistance.
I'm open to finding out what's underneath this resistance.
Top of the head, like any fears.
Like any fears,
In between the eyebrows, like any doubts.
like any doubts,
Outside the eyes, where I may be second guessing myself.
where I may be second guessing myself,
Under the eyes, and where I might feel stuck.
and where I might feel stuck,
Under the nose, or maybe sometimes people call it blocked, right? Like where I may feel blocked.
or where I may feel blocked.
On the chin. I'm open to letting this resistance go.
I'm open to letting this resistance go.
Under the collarbone. And I'm open to bringing in more flow.
And I'm open to bringing in more flow.
Under the arm. And I'm open to bringing in more self trust and confidence.
And I'm open to bringing in more self trust and confidence.
Top of the head. And I'm open to bringing in more faith.
And I'm open to bringing in more faith.
In between the eyebrows. So I'm just curious, what is it that I'd like to work on today?
So I'm just curious, what is it I'd like to work on today?
Outside the eyes. Where is one situation or one area where I feel a little stuck?
What is one situation or area where I feel stuck?
Under the eyes. I'm open to being more vulnerable here.
I'm open to being more vulnerable here.
Under the nose. And more comfortable being more comfortable being with my emotions.
And getting more comfortable with being with my emotions.
On the chin. Because that's what helps them, right, to move up and out.
Because that's what helps them to move up and out.
Under the collarbone. Because this work helps to dismantle the
Because,
stuckness.
because this work helps to dismantle the stuckness.
And under the arm. And that's what we're going to do.
And that's what we're going to do.
All right, let's just pause, take a deep breath in. I always say taking deep breaths like that is really good to help shift the energy. Drinking water or like a herbal tea to help flush stuff out. Or for me, it's this way. For me, it comes like up from my belly up and out. It's not necessarily flushing it out that way.
Yeah, there's different ways the energy can move, right?
Yeah.
Just notice yours. Um, hmm. Wow, that was a great way to just anchor into the layers of resistance that can be there, like the domains, the areas. What's coming up for me, the resistance is around success,
Okay.
like big success, big success. Because I've been, and this is so interesting because this is exactly the kind of client I work with too. Like we've been successful, right? By
Hmm.
society's metrics. I was very successful in building a six-figure practice, for example. But I have bigger dreams that go well beyond that. But there's resistance to allowing that to happen because of fear of judgment. So just in that, I was able to get right into there. So you might not be that deep yet with where the resistance is coming from, but that's where I'm seeing my resistance is like the fear of other people judging me.
Okay.
Period. I guess would be um the broadest way to look at that. So fear of judgment,
All right.
resisting success,
And what?
and resisting success.
Right. Well, it causes you to like self-sabotage,
Mhm.
right? So where do you feel like it cuts off the action steps or the behaviors needed for success?
Yeah, for me, it's about getting fully organized. This is something I've really noticed since returning from my sabbatical is I'm much more organized and I'm like, "Oh, the lack of organization was actually self-sabotage." So, I'm
Mm,
definitely noticing those last little bits coming up to be cleared out.
great.
So it's like that organization step because if I get organized, I can follow through with everything else. But if I
Mm-hmm.
don't get organized, I'm taking scattered action, which doesn't lead to anywhere. Like, it doesn't. So,
Okay. So today, my fear of judgment is what number? So whoever's watching, you want to rate how you're feeling on a scale of 0 to 10. 0, there's no intensity, and 10, it's crazy intense. And then, is there like a physical feeling that comes in when you think about what, when you think about this situation where you feel, resistance or fear or doubt, or where you might be sabotaging yourself?
so for me, what I'm noticing, my fear resistance, the fear of judgment specifically is a 5.
Okay.
And I'm noticing that like actually in my eyes, like my eyebrows, there's a tingling sensation that's here when I focus inward.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Let's go. All right. So for the people watching, we're going to tap on the side of the hand for a little bit and we're going to create a setup statement and acceptance phrase. So your subconscious knows exactly what you're working on. So you can just fill in the blanks with your words and situations, and not necessarily say what we're saying here, or what Safriana is saying. So So even though I'm feeling
Even though I'm feeling
this fear of judgment,
this fear of judgment,
I'm honoring how I feel.
I'm honoring how I feel.
And even though I have all this fear of judgment,
And even though I have all this fear of judgment,
and it feels like a 5 right now,
and it feels like a 5 right now,
and I'm noticing that I have this tingling around my eyebrows,
and I'm noticing I have this tingling around my eyebrows,
I'm choosing to acknowledge I feel this way.
I'm choosing to acknowledge I feel this way.
And even though I have this fear of judgment,
And even though I have this fear of judgment,
which is causing me to hold back on getting organized.
which is causing me to hold back on getting organized and putting my actual all into things.
Okay. I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love, accept, and forgive myself anyway.
love, accept, and forgive myself anyway.
All right, top of the head. All this fear
All this fear,
in between the eyebrows, all this fear in my eyebrows,
all this fear in my eyebrows.
outside the eyes. So for the people watching, I'm connecting the physical and emotional together. That's the somatic practice that really helps things shift quickly. All right, so all this fear in my eyebrows,
All this fear in my eyebrows.
underneath the eyes, this tingly fear in my eyebrows,
This tingly fear in my eyebrows.
under the nose, this tingly fear.
This tingly fear.
I feel it in my eyebrows.
I feel it in my eyebrows.
On the chin, this tingly fear.
This tingly fear.
Under the collarbone, all this fear in my eyebrows.
All this fear in my eyebrows.
And under the arm, this fear in my eyebrows.
This fear in my eyebrows.
All right, let's just pause. Deep breath in.
I just made a fascinating big connection.
Oh,
So I'm over here
what
smiling.
fascinating big
Yeah.
connection. What is that?
So, for those of you who don't know, I work a lot with parts of self, and parts of self can be tied to specific physical sensations or locations in the body. So, as we were tapping on my eyebrows, and I'm like, all this fear of judgment in my eyebrows, what the heck? Like, it just came up that um, people people have told me repeatedly that I have very expressive eyebrows. And my truth, my soul level truth is that when I'm really, really paying attention, my face is very neutral. I'm a natural number 9, and our faces look very neutral when we're paying attention. But I've learned to mask and put on eyebrows because they're easy for me to move to emulate what emotion I'm feeling so the rest of my face doesn't have to do the work. So the fear of judgment is the judgment I've already experienced by people misreading my facial expressions. So if they're misreading my facial expressions, how well are they going to do reading my larger intentions? So
Wow.
you're seeing it live, the ahas that come through with EFT. Wow. Yeah. So I'm just like blown away by that right now, that this is the fear of judgment and
All
why
right.
that's there.
Um, did your number go up or did it change at all?
It still feels like a 5 because this felt like it gave me the answer of why it's the 5. Like, oh, well, if people are judging your your micro facial expressions all the time, how are they interpreting the rest of how you show up? So
All right. So,
resisting showing up
okay. Um, so what would be a goal here for you?
to feel completely comfortable showing up as me, like not be resisting being fully me. So showing up completely as me, feeling comfortable showing up as me.
Okay. So does that mean still using the eyebrows as the way you express yourself or letting that go?
It it means not forcing it, not feeling like I have to put it on to express if I'm not genuinely expressing that from a soul level, a sacral level. I'm a sacral
Mm-hmm.
responder too. So to allow myself to just react as I would react, not react the way other people expect or require me to react. Go back to see me calling myself a rebel this morning, right? Let myself be the rebel that just shows up as me fully always instead of picking and choosing when and where I can.
Right. Okay. Great. All right. So let's go back to the top of the head because we're still tapping on the same words and phrases. So we don't have to go back to the side of the hand. Only if we change the words and the phrases would we go back to the side of the hand. Um, all right. Top of the head. Still have all this fear in my eyebrows,
Still have all this fear in my eyebrows.
in between the eyebrows, that I have to use my eyebrows in order to get my point across. Is
That I
that
have to use, yeah, that I have to use my eyebrows in order to get my point across.
right? Outside the eyes. All this fear
All this fear.
under the eyes. What if I could what if I could soften my eyebrows
What if I could soften my eyebrows
and let the fear go
and let the fear go?
under the nose? What would that be like?
What would that be like?
On the chin. Right here and now, I'm safe and nothing bad is happening.
Right here and now, I am safe and nothing bad is happening.
Under the collarbone. I don't have to use my eyebrows here
I don't have to use my eyebrows here.
as I'm doing my eyebrows.
Meryl will do it for me.
Under the arm. Still have all this fear,
Still have all this fear,
but realizing where it's coming from.
but realizing where it's coming from.
Top of the head. So, what if I could relax my eyebrows
So what if I could relax my eyebrows
in between the eyebrows and just show up as me
and just show up as me?
outside the eyes? What feeling does that bring in? Is there resistance there?
Hmm. Now I'm not noticing the resistance nearly as much, but
Okay.
I'm noticing allowing curiosity right now.
Underneath the eyes. All right. So, I still have some resistance
I still have some resistance.
under the nose. I still have some fear in my eyebrows.
I still have some fear in my eyebrows.
And what number is it now?
Um,
On the chin.
2.5.
All right. So now we're halfway down. All right. So I was a 5 and now I'm a 2.5.
So I was a 5 and now I'm a 2.5.
So under the collarbone. So for whoever's watching, if things have shifted for you and you do feel better or calmer or more relaxed or something, say that. Say, I was feeling this and now I'm feeling this. You want your subconscious to really register what's shifted for you. All right. And under the arm, this 2.5 fear of judgment.
This 2.5 fear of judgment.
All right. So let's just take a break again. Deep breath in. We let it go. Sip of water. And whenever you're ready, you can share what that was like.
Yeah, it was interesting. When I got really focused on just relaxing this area of my body, everything else was sort of able to slip away for a while. And that just brought me so much more sense of like peace and calm. Um, I would say that now even that fear feels less than a 2. maybe not
Great.
quite a 1, but less than a 2.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like literally just the thread of fear between taking action and not taking action, right? Like the just taking the leap to do it to prove that it can be done, which I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, no worries there really either. So I'm really just curious, like I'm kind of checking myself right now, like where is any resistance around showing up fully or using my voice or this is when I'm working with parts and they get to feeling really calm and like very clear. I like to start to poke the bear a little bit and be
Yeah.
like, you know, but do you feel like this is your fault or do you feel like you're not enough over here? And I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
pretty neutral responses right now. Um yeah, it's like I'm really just seeing there are a bunch of other threads coming forward of things I've been processing lately and how this is like one of those remaining little knots that was there
Right.
that I just needed to unloosen.
Yeah. So just to share to our audience, at this point, I would be asking Safriana, what recent situation happened where you felt that you were judged, right? And maybe something was said about your eyebrows or that you felt like you were using your eyebrows or something like that, right? And we would go into that and we would wipe out whatever unwanted emotions were attached to that. So that was just became just a story, just neutralized, right? And then once you do that, or at least bring the intensity down halfway of a current story, then you go into your past and you go into, um, you know, some memories or earliest memories or earlier memories, of being judged and that fear, like where and how that fear started. So
Mhm.
that's really where this work goes, but that's more in either small group sessions or in private work. Um, so I just wanted to share, like, that's how you really do it here. Um, but I would like to go into doing a meditation with the optimal EFT part. So we did the
Sounds good to
somatic
me.
approach first, we lowered the numbers, we got into a little bit more detail, and underneath some of the resistance, and we cleared out some stuff, which is great. And this work continues to integrate over time. So it will keep working, right? It will keep clearing out, which is awesome. And the best way that you can continue to keep working on it is checking in with your goal. Like, how do you feel about your goal? And that's like a daily, consistent practice. If you really have an urgency to get to your goal, you've got to be thinking about it on a regular basis, not just the one time that you happen to come across a Facebook Live or something.
Mm. Patience and determination, as I've been
Yes,
saying lately, right? And
exactly.
we resist patience and determination because we don't always like to put in hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So let's go into the spiritual form of EFT called optimal EFT. All you have to do is close your eyes, and I'll guide you through a meditation. So, in this practice, I use the higher power of the unseen therapist. You can use whoever you'd like here, whoever you believe in, whoever you pray to, and it's all good, right? So, sending to your higher power, whatever this situation is that you've been working on, wherever you might feel some resistance or ways that you feel stuck in a situation. It could just be your perspective is stuck. It could be your thoughts, your patterns, your actions, your behaviors. Um, right? It could be that you just feel like the other person in your life is stuck and that's keeping you stuck, right? But really, we all have a choice. We really do all have a choice. And sometimes we get stuck. in believing that we don't, that things can never change. But that's not true. That's just not true. Right? So imagine that you have a portal at the top of your head, right? And it's just like your brain opens to the heavens, right? Your brain, top of your head, just opens and becomes a channel to your higher power, to the universe. And I have an image of my unseen therapist that I always use, but you can create your own, it doesn't matter. And, it could also just be a feeling that you just know you're supported by the universe. Okay? And then I want you to think of a loving moment, a happy moment, something that really warms your insides. And there could be 5 things, and I really want you to pick one because I don't want your mind flipping from one thought to another here. Right? So send your situation to your higher power, ask for resolution, and they know exactly what to do with it. So you're letting go of the how, and then just come to focusing on this loving moment, an unconditional loving moment, maybe with a pet or with someone in your life that you love. Um, right? And it's not someone necessarily who's if it is someone who's passed, you want to make sure that there isn't sadness, right? Connected to that. Um, right? You can think of just playing with someone else's dog or kitten and that feeling, that like giddy, childlike feeling that it brings in. So whatever you attach to, just pick one thing and just let that connect to your heart. So now imagine your heart is also an open portal, right? Your heart is literally opening to allow in faith, confidence, self trust, love. So I'm being called to really just focus on these 2 spots, the heart and the top of the head. So imagine that your higher power or the universe is, hovering around you. Maybe you have a whole team of spirit guides or angels and they're just surrounding you. And they are sending a white crystalline light right into these 2 portals, right into your heart portal and right into the top of your head portal, beaming this pure, unconditional, loving, nurturing, caring, white light that's glistening with glitter and filling you up with incredible self love, incredible confidence, incredible self esteem, incredible self trust, being able to hear your intuition and your gut and have the courage to follow it. Right? The unseen therapist and your guides are wiping away any of your resistance, any of your fear, any of your doubt, any of your second guessing, and all of your stuckness, wherever that may be. Right? It could be in your eyebrows, it could be in your throat, it could be in your belly, it could be in your legs. It's helping to calm your nervous system, right? If there's any tension here, if there's any gripping or tightness, right? Sending that up to your higher power and asking for resolution. So letting this white light, this crystalline white light, maybe into those areas to help relax it and calm it down and help you to feel more comfortable to step outside of this stuckness, which is your comfort zone, so that you feel more powerful. You feel more capable. You feel more self sufficient, self actualized. So we're just going to sit here and just let that all process for another minute. Focus on your higher power, your loving moment. Whatever unwanted thoughts come in, just send it up. Ask for resolution and focus on the white crystalline light coming in, filling up your whole body, transforming you mentally, emotionally, and physically. So when you feel ready, you can draw your energy back into this space and imagine the portals closing, right? So that everything that was infused into your heart stays there, and everything that was infused into the crown of your head stays there. So imagine the portals closing and coming back into the now.
Mm.
And for anyone watching, it's great to repeat these, right? Repeat the tapping, repeat the meditations, because it's something different happens every time, right?
I
So
need
how
to
was that
write
for
that
you?
affirmation down.
Oh, good job.
So, around resistance, the phrase just kept repeating it. It kind of came in waves there at the end of, I can do this. I will do this. I can and I will do this. I can and I will. And then that finally circled to, I can and will follow my heart, or like follow what lights me up. So there was this, because I can and I will can get very quickly into productivity and like overdoing, and then we're right back in resistance
Yep.
because we're not doing what we want to do. So it was like it really came home to, I can and will do what I feel led to do. So I thought that was just an important affirmation to come back to, this like I can and I will, um but with the caveat, the add-on of very specifically what actually is
Lights me up.
aligned with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it.
And I just want to share this little image that came through with the closing of the portals, because I'm going to use this forever now. Now that I've been gardening and I get to see the squash blossoms, growing,
Mm-hmm.
and the little bumblebees go in there and they cozy up, and it's the cutest thing ever. But they sort of open and then they sort of spin shut. the blooms, like depending on the time of day or like where
Right.
it is in its cycle. So I just pictured my bloom, my heart bloom and my crown bloom just sort of coming back in
Mm-hmm.
and collapsing inward, but like being completely contained and holding that energy in. So it was a very beautiful meditation. Thank you.
You're welcome. So now for anyone watching, you want to test back again. How do you feel towards your goal? How do you feel about resistance or whatever words you were working on? And noticing, what came up. Definitely be journaling about your experience from beginning to end, right? So that you can keep track. So how do you feel now about resistance and like the tingling in your eyebrows and what's happening with all that?
That feels very neutral now. And there is this like sense of calm through my body. The I feel much more resourced. So, what, and this is something that I'm able to do EFT processing fairly quickly because I've done it so many times and my body and system are very like, oh, we know what pathways to follow here. So I am
Yeah.
having much more resolution than the average person who's never done EFT might be right now. But like I said, I was feeling all of these threads coming together of like connections of around resistance. Um, and then had all these resources come in of, oh well, I've done these things before, I've done that thing I'm resistant to right now before, and it turned out well. And like just the memories, the positive resourced memories were coming in a lot more there at the end. So I feel very grounded and anchored into that truth that I don't need to resist, because when I flow it works out every single time.
Great.
mm. This is fun. So I just flipped our collective cards over here. So as you continue forward and you're continuing to work with the energy of resistance, because it comes up for us all the time, right? Ebb and flow and push and pull, like that's a natural part of human existence.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we really lean into it and take advantage of it? And part of it is balance. So when we're all in resistance, things feel really, really cruddy and we feel bogged down and burnt out because we're resisting flowing with what really works for us. But when we use resistance as actually like a rubber band, right? Creating a little bit of force and then it creates all this energy when it slingshots back. That's good resistance. We need a little resistance when we're building our muscles, right? A little bit of resistance on lifting the weights. So
Yep.
resistance itself isn't bad. It's being balanced with it and not letting it tilt all the way into the shame, fear, doubt that Meryl was really talking about earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So recognizing it for the messages that it is. And how do we do that? We take time to breathe. So we breathe into the resistance, we stretch it out, we like, okay, here's the resistance. What I do with that, I love that the figure on the beach, her arms are falling open here, right? Because she's just like, I'm letting the resistance go. I'm taking time to breathe and really be with what is arising. And that's how we can tune back in to how do we get the balance, right? Do I need to breathe out excess resistance here? Do I need to let more of this go so that I can keep holding the positive? Because again, if you're holding the positive all the time, life gets really boring. When we're just like everything's great, right? There's no nuance there, and we lose a lot of joy on that. So balance is really key. And then how do we really know that we're getting where we want to go in this is we look for signs from heaven. And so you don't have to take the word heaven there literally if that's not your belief, but signs from your highest good, signs from your angels, ancestors, guardians, and guides, synchronicities. That is where it's like I'm really moving down the right path. We tend to see that resistance is sort of absent when we're getting those signs because we're so going with the flow. So, noticing the nuance of resistance. Is this like big, huge, overwhelming resistance, almost as if a higher power is telling me, no, don't go that way? Or is it resistance of an egoic nature where it's like, oh, I just don't think I can do this. I'm not enough. I have these beliefs that I could clear out, but I'm not. And that kind of resistance, we then miss the signs. So resistance could be a big sign, but ultimately look for flowing and seeing those signs and synchronicities as that you're moving through positive resistance. you're moving through and receiving the wisdom of that. So that's what I'm getting there. I really think that we've had some great discussion today about resistance and what it looks like and how it can show up, and just so much wisdom about how EFT in particular can clear that. But ultimately, I like to really bring home this shadow and light dance. So again, you don't want to feel positive 24/7, nor do you want to feel negative 24/7. You want to flow in and out of various emotions because all of them are teaching you, showing you, leading you, guiding you to more expansion, to more balance, but you need to take time to breathe and settle into what is this teaching me, and then receive those signs and synchronicities. That's how we go with the flow. So thank
Great.
you,
I love
Kyle
it.
Gray, Angel Players.
Those are perfect cards. What a way to
They
wrap it up.
are. I love it. So, as always, Meryl and I are here to serve you. You can figure out how to get in touch with us via the show notes. Um, Meryl is such a wonderful and just gifted guide. So, feel free to reach out to her. Feel free to reach out to me. If you have a topic you'd like to see us move through on an episode, we do these about every 2 weeks. So, we're here to serve. And I feel like we're just really getting up and running with the show. So I can't wait to be back with more. Let us know if there's something we can help you move through. All right. Until next time, thank you, Meryl.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, everyone who tuned in.
Thank you for
All
being the
right.
channel for the collective, and for Safrianna is the one who sets this all up, and I just have to show up. Makes
It's just
makes
so
it easy.
nice when we can just show up.
Yeah, she does all the stuff that I don't want to do. So I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. All right, beloveds. We will see you back here in about 2 weeks, and much love.